Well, good evening and welcome to the Stambaugh Youth Concert Band Fall 2020 semester meeting for students and parents. Thank you very much for sending your students to audition for the ensemble. We are so happy and thrilled that we could get the Stambaugh Youth Concert Band up and running again this fall with everything that's been going on since last spring. So thank you for sending your students. Thank you, students, for auditioning. We were really impressed. It was really good to hear live music back in Stambaugh Auditorium. And I know that the staff here are really excited to have the Stambaugh Youth Concert Band back for this fall semester. Tonight we're going to be introducing you the staff that we have on board, and we're also going to be talking about some of the procedures that we have in place going forward for the fall semester. We're also going to be talking about how the rehearsal schedule is going to work out, and then finally answer some of the questions you may have as we go forward. Doing the Stambaugh Youth Concert Band for the fall semester is going to be myself, Mr. Husosky, Dr. Crist, who is Professor Emeritus from Youngstown State University, and Nate Stambaugh, who will be working with a lot of our woodwinds, woodwind choir and some of those ensembles as we get going. We will also be bringing in some instructors and professors from Youngstown State University and the surrounding area throughout the semester as well. And we'll be talking more about that with the students as we go along. I'd also like to turn it over now and introduce Matt Pagac, who's the director of Stambaugh Auditorium. He will also be here throughout the course of the rehearsals and has done a lot of work behind the scenes. You'll be hearing from him a little bit later on. But first, let's turn it over to Dr. Crist. He's going to be going over some of the goals we have in place for the fall semester.
Well, first and foremost, thanks for joining us today. And boy, it's been great to hear music again in the auditorium. Part of my responsibility at Stambaugh is to serve on the board here, and we had a board meeting earlier this week, and I can tell you that the members of the board of directors, Stambaugh Auditorium, are very excited to have the students here, music making, and it's really going to be great. A little bit about the goals. In this strange time that we're in, it's really challenging to plan too far in advance. So goals are really very simple. The number one goal that we have is safety. We want to make sure that you come in feeling well, you have a great musical experience while you're here, and that you leave feeling well, so that you can come back and we can sustain this. Obviously, the issues associated with setting goals and developing plans have to do with sustainability. And we don't know what that's going to be like. We know what we want to do. Number one, we want to keep you safe. In just a minute, Matt's going to talk to you about the protocol, and you should all be receiving that information in print. I highly recommend that you memorize it and make sure that you know what your responsibilities are associated with that. The second part of our goal, I already mentioned, is to make great music together. And you know, all of that, everything that I've been talking about so far revolve around one simple word, and that word is responsibility. We all have to be responsible to follow the protocol that's in place. And it's important to know that this is not just a document that came out of Stambaugh Auditorium. This protocol document is based on international and national research that's going on right now dealing with COVID and music making associated with COVID. So it is a substantial piece. The responsibility side and the music side of it, I think you all know, but I'll remind you again that you need to be responsible to be here, be prepared. We can't make this work if your priorities are different than that. In other words, we've set up a situation here where we're very dependent on each individual to do their job. That means to show up for the rehearsals and be prepared for the rehearsals. If you're not, it compromises the quality of experience that everyone in the ensemble is going to have. So I know I'm sounding like I'm lecturing you, and that's because I am. It's really important that you be responsible and take care of business here. And finally, let me just touch a little bit on the performance. You know, in this day and age in music education, there tends to be a lot of focus on the performance, and I think it's good. We all need that final goal that we work toward, that perfect performance or wherever it might be. But I want you to think about what can be learned week to week in each individual rehearsal. As a professional musician myself, I always think of each rehearsal being a performance as well. And I want you to think about that as you come here and have the opportunity to perform in this beautiful facility. What will a concert look like? We're not sure. But we are very, very fortunate to be a part of what the staff and crew at Stambaugh Auditorium have to offer us. So we have some things in mind. We're going to do a lot of recording. So if you've never recorded before, you'll have that opportunity. And if the recordings are at a level, we're going to share those. Stambaugh has been very successful through YouTube and other venues like their own site, website, where they can share those performances. We would love to do a virtual live performance off of the stage at Stambaugh Auditorium. That's possible, and we've done that many times here with much bigger organizations than what we're going to be dealing with here. And then in my optimism, I'm an eternal optimist. We never know for sure, but we could have a live performance here. We'll have to wait and see. That's way out in dreamland, but we are going to do our best to make those kinds of plans and work for them. So we're hoping to do our best to provide some kind of closure to this in a performance, but I want you to think about each step as you go along in relationship to what you're learning through this process.
All right, I guess I'm next. So I'm going to talk about some of our operating protocol related to the pandemic and how we're handling things. All of you that have been here for auditions have already experienced some of that. We will take your temperature at the door. We are keeping a log of that. We are keeping that log at the request of the health department. If your temperature is at 100.3 or higher, we will be sending you home. It is not anything to really get upset about. It's just we have to be careful. There's lots of reasons why your temperature could be up. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have COVID-19. We just need to be very careful. We ask that when you arrive, you be wearing a mask, and you keep that mask on unless you're playing your instrument. So between rehearsals, between ensembles, make sure you put your mask back on. If you go to the restroom, put your mask back on, that sort of thing. For brass players, we will provide, and I know in the document that we provided, it says to bring a rag, but we are going to provide a pad for you to be able to empty your spit valve onto, and then you can discard that rag at the end of rehearsal. I'm sure some of you are doing things like that at school already. So we're trying to follow some of those same protocols that you're already used to. There is a document that is currently posted on the SYCB blog page that is on our website. So at stambaugauditorium.com/SYCB member, you can find a link to that. It was also linked in the email that was sent today, and I'm pretty sure it's on the Facebook account as well. And those are listed on the screen there, so if you need those. We may ask you some questions at the door, typical things like if you have had a fever in the last 14 days or anything like that. And some of those questions may vary depending on what else is going on in the community. There's some other things in that document, so please take a look at it. I would also like to discuss how we're going to handle just moving throughout the building. We're going to be using 3 different spaces to start for rehearsal. So here in the concert hall, we're also going to use the Christman Hall and the ballroom. In all of those spaces, we're able to use the space in different ways. So we can have one ensemble set up and then switch that to a different ensemble setup in another part of the room, while we disinfect the first ensemble setup and that sort of thing. Doing everything we can to be very careful. We ask when we're switching between rehearsal locations that everyone doesn't start to congregate. I know everybody wants to talk and make friends and meet old friends and that sort of thing, and we want that to happen too, but we have to keep our distance. So please make sure you're not getting in too small, too close of an area with each other. All the typical things that I'm sure you're hearing all the time at school. We want to be very careful with that here as well. Let me grab my notes. In the information that we sent in the email today, and it's also posted online, is the ensemble assignments and where those rehearsals will take place. When you arrive here, once you're checked in at the door, please go to that area. If you're not sure where that is, the people at the door will be able to help direct you. They can look you up and tell you where you're supposed to be. Also, as we have in the past, there will be a police officer on duty outside. We have done this since Youth Band has started here, and we will continue to do that. Those of you that have been involved in the past are probably used to Stambaugh chorus rehearsal happening on Tuesday evenings. That will not be the case for this semester. So Youth Band will be the only ones in the building on Tuesday evening. Again, we're doing that so it's just safe for all of us. Stambaugh chorus is making other arrangements elsewhere. I think that's all I have for now.
Next, we'll talk a little bit about the rehearsal schedule and the ensemble assignments that we have. Basically, we're looking at going from a large ensemble setting, working our way down as the evening goes on into smaller chamber-type ensembles. The first one we're going to be doing is a march called His Honor by Henry Fillmore. And what we try to do there is have a really small instrumentation of a band. Typically, do actually what Henry Fillmore would do back in the late 1920s, per se, with his band. So it's going to be unique of how that's going to sound. You should already have those part assignments. Dr. Crist will be working with all of the brass ensembles you see there. And then myself and Mr. Sensbaugh will be working with the woodwind choir and the flute ensembles and the clarinet ensembles. And then we'll be ending our evening with the percussion ensembles. There are a few percussionists who are on His Honor. We do ask that when those percussionists are done, we know that there's a little bit of a downtime. You guys will be able to be permitted to stay in the hall and work on homework and things like that. And we can go over that with those students tomorrow night while we fill some time up. Okay, Dr. Crist?
Sure. The part assignment, I want you all to realize that this whole thing is fluid. We had an opportunity to hear each one of you play individually for 10 minutes, and we can't make final judgment of you as people and human beings, but we get a pretty good idea of what you have capable of doing on your instruments. That could change as we go through this, so I want you to realize that although you do have part assignments there, first of all, I'm going back to my responsibility rant. You have to be prepared to play your pieces, and if that isn't happening, then we will make changes. But more importantly, I'm concerned that you have a good musical experience, and I want to make sure that you're not struggling, whether it be from being tired or whatever it might be. So just be flexible for change, and we're going to do our best to get as much music prepared and have you perform, but more than anything else, to expose you to some pieces that you've never done.
Yeah, that's fine.
I know in Ohio, through the Ohio Music Education Association, many of you have had opportunities to do small chamber pieces through the solo and ensemble situation. I might add that is going to happen this year. It's going to happen virtually, so work with your music teacher to get those things going. But this is going to be a little bit different for you. The His Honor piece is for 26 people only, so if you remember, those who played in the band last year, the band was significantly larger, maybe twice as big as that last year. So the responsibility and the requirements of you as individuals are going to be much more rigorous and challenging. And I see that as a good thing. especially hearing what you all had to offer during your auditions. We believe that you're capable of meeting these goals that we've set for you. So the big word here is, beyond the responsibility word, is to be flexible and be ready for change to happen if that needs be. But ultimately, I think if you look at the music that's being offered to you tomorrow, there's some great opportunities for you for music making. So I hope you're excited about this. I know we are very excited to have you come here and make music together.
Also, tomorrow evening, all students are going to receive their own folder and music as well when they get ready to rehearse their ensembles. Okay? Percussion ensembles, there are no part assignments yet for you. They're pretty much done. Okay, we had a percussionist audition this evening, so I wanted to make sure that in case some changes need to be made, those will be good to go. So percussionists, you'll get that music tomorrow night with me on stage, and we'll go over that, and that should be okay. Okay.
I know you're all going through these kinds of things in your schools, but this environment's just a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit closer. So all I say to you is listen to what people are saying and let's work together. And I know you will. I was very impressed by the way all of you handled yourself during the auditions. It was really exciting for me to see. I think one of the things that's important in the protocol listing is that your chair becomes your home while you're here, you know. So all your stuff should be there, and so again, you need to be responsible for your things as well as you getting from point A to point B. But we'll be here to help you with that.
Real quick, just how to get in touch with us and how to know what's going on. As I mentioned earlier, the web page, the blog page, and Facebook. And then also, if you need to contact us, there's 2 email addresses there on the screen and the phone number for the main office here at Stambaugh. If whatever you might have a question about something or not able to make rehearsal or something like that, you can contact us there. And we'll be happy to help you, and we'll get to you as quickly as we can. If it's on the weekend, sometimes it's a little slower, just depending on what we have going on here in the building. Office hours currently are 10 to 4, Monday through Friday.
Just a little bit about the funding for this ensemble and sponsorship opportunities. Stambaugh Youth Concert Band does have a budget that we work with. But as with almost every organization, this COVID-19 situation has changed things. This meeting alone, I wish you could see the technology it takes here to put this together and the staff people. And so everything is just a little bit different, and the requirements make things more expensive, plain and simple, more expensive. We really believe that the students are going to get an outstanding opportunity and experience, and many times it'll be much more personalized than it's been in the past. And so we believe that what's being charged for this, the stipend to do this is equitable. And there's also some requirements that Stambaugh Auditorium has to meet. So we feel good about the experience and what that's costing. We also want to reach out to you and your companies, if possible, to help sponsor what we do here in Stambaugh Auditorium and the Stambaugh Youth Concert Band. We'll be sending an email out to the parents soon about sponsorship capabilities and opportunities to help support what we do here. The behind-the-scene things are pretty extensive, and I can tell you that the 3 of us here on this podium have put a lot of hours in so far getting things in place, but without the staff at Stambaugh Auditorium, really this would not be possible. So we need to make that happen. And we're also looking at the sustainability of Stambaugh Youth Concert Band. And donations from parents, from corporations to help sustain this. We were talking just earlier today about our percussion needs. You know, we don't have everything we need to do the things we want to do, and it'd be great to find a donor or a group of donors who could start a fund to ensure that we have the percussion equipment we need. Stambaugh Auditorium does not have a music library. In a sense, we do borrow a lot of this music, but we're also we're working to develop a music library that will help, again, with the sustainability of the musical experiences for Stambaugh Youth Concert Band and the students who are a part of that. So you should be getting an email within the next week or so that will ask about sponsorship and those opportunities, and please consider giving money to the Stambaugh Youth Concert Band so we can keep this going.
So are we ready for Q&A?
It's that time.
Okay, so if we will do our best to answer questions. So if you have questions, there's one that we could address right now about the clarinets for his honor.
Yeah, the clarinet percussion parts, clarinet parts, Justin. I'll send that out tomorrow, update that. It was on the wrong document, so that's sorry on our part. But yeah, there will be clarinets on the march. There are 3 parts, and we have those parts assigned. So we'll look for those tomorrow morning. We'll have those for you. But yes, clarinets will, if your name's on the list, you will need to be here at 6 o'clock for that.
So anybody have a question?
Well, this is a sign that we've done an outstanding job on our presentation, if there's no questions, but I'm sure there's some in the back of your mind, so don't be nervous.
Maybe just a few other things as we go forward. The same protocols will be in place as well for weather as we get into, possibly November. If there's no school, we won't be having Stambaugh Band, and we'll be sending that out to news stations. We typically do that, and we send out emails. We post on the Blogspot website, our new blog website, which is on the Stambaugh Auditorium website, which we mentioned earlier, and our Facebook page. So make sure you have those couple links bookmarked for us. Okay. Also, we know, there may be some sporting events or some school activities that take place during this time. We know from what we did in the past that school events take precedent. But as long as you guys are communicating that with us, that's going to be really important, especially when we're in such small groups, and that's going to be a really important thing. For work schedules, it's also really important that you make note that you're in this ensemble so you can make those adjustments accordingly. It's really hard, when you have a 4-person ensemble and 3 people are here and we're missing that first part or third part, and we all know how important that is. So like Dr. Crist said, we're really counting on everybody during this time to make this very successful.
So we have a few questions. Should we assume everyone should be at the auditorium at 6 p.m. or before 6 p.m.?
If you're not on his honor, you would not need to show up until 6:25, and you'll follow the schedule that's on the screen and that we posted. So some people are going to report to the ballroom at 6:35 for their first rehearsal, and some people are going to report elsewhere. If I'm someone that plays on his honor, based upon that sheet, you'll go from the stage here and you'll go right down to the ballroom or the other Christmas room for those rehearsals, depending on what you play.
The other side of that, you could be done for the evening by 7:30. So you need to make sure you know what the schedule is so that rides are set for you and all the transportation is in place. What we can't do is set aside a space for you to just kind of hang out here while everybody else is rehearsing. So when your schedule is up, we need to ask you to leave the building. So it's again, I'm going back to that responsibility word. It's going to take some added effort from everybody involved, parent and student, to make sure that transportation having the instrument, having the music, all that in place at the right time, that happens.
And on the documents that we shared, it should say, what ensemble, and in today's email and the schedule, it should show what room you're going to be in. And Stambaugh will have staff on place too, in case you don't know where the Crispin room's at, or things like that. If you're new and never been here, we'll be able to direct you in the right places and have those things ready. So I would recommend, at least 10 minutes or so before you play. Percussionist, if you don't play on his honor, you'll need to be here, 7:25 for the last hour of rehearsal, and we'll begin on the stage. Okay.
Our next question was, is it too late to audition? No, it is not. And if you'd like to audition, please contact us, give the office a call, or send us an email, and we will get that lined up. We do have some time to do a few auditions tomorrow before we start rehearsal. We also have, we can make some space next Tuesday if we need to, but if you would like to audition, please contact us and let us know.
If you know a friend or someone in the band that is an alto saxophone player or a baritone saxophone player, we could certainly use a few more of those. We could also use a few more baritones and tuba players as well. So we say this a lot. You know what kind of student belongs in the ensemble, and if you're friends with some of those students, we could certainly use them to fill out some of these ensembles that we're doing to make the experience better. So keep that in mind.
Another question is about the fee this year. There is a fee this year. It is it 85? 85. Again, that helps to offset the expenses. There's more expenses this year than there ever have been. So we're working hard to find ways to keep things as economical as possible, but the fee is $85. When it's due by, we don't really typically set a due date. If you need us to make long-term arrangements, please let us know. We're more than happy to help you out with that. But when it works for you over the next few weeks, that would be great. And we'll provide more information about that tomorrow evening at rehearsal. Let me see what other questions we have here. Music will be distributed tomorrow evening, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The students that are in his honor are listed on the document that's attached to the blog page, also attached to the email that was sent today.
Yeah, Charity, you're on clarinet. We'll have those out tomorrow morning. So be expecting the email if I'm a clarinet player to see if you're on his honor march or not. It won't be the full clarinet section for that. So be on the lookout for an email tomorrow morning if you play clarinet regarding his honor.
And again, just to clarify on the music, we will have it all printed for you. You don't need to worry about any of that.
I know some students auditioned with a bell cover. If your band is using those and you feel comfortable with using those, you can go ahead and bring that as well if you would like to use that.
Let's see.
Part assignment lists, again, they'll be on the blog from the Stambaugh Auditorium website and your email address. We'll also be sending around an email and roster tomorrow night to double check email addresses and spellings, just in case we're missing a dot here and there or a number. So we'll be triple checking that tomorrow evening.
And yes, for those of you who auditioned today, we will get updated assignments out in the morning. We just need to get through that. Those got done right before we started this, so we will get those out so you know when to be here and what's going on. Bass clarinets for his honor.
Yes, there will be.
And the fee is per student. Is that what we've done in the past?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. There's a question about percussion and other needs about donating. If you have specifics that you'd like to discuss when it comes to our donation needs and that sort of thing, please send us an email. We're happy to discuss that and talk about what you would like to do and what we need and that sort of thing.
Thank you. One other thing with percussionists tomorrow, if you could make sure you bring your own sticks, mallets, mallet bag, that would be great as we get up and running with that too. So as much of your personal mallets that you have, the better. Okay. Timpani mallets as well, bell mallets, xylophone mallets, snare drum sticks.
I hope we answered all the questions that are in the chat, trying to keep up with them. Are there any others? In theory, we can hear you as well if you just want to ask. We typically don't do structured fundraisers. Our feeling in the past has been you get inundated with enough of that from school. So that hasn't something that we've typically done, and we currently don't have any plans to do that.
So the Stambaugh Board of Directors does have a staff development officer, and as I said earlier in this meeting, you will be hearing from her. She'll be sending an email about structured giving, and that process will be laid out for you. But if you do need, as was said, if you do need want to spend some time talking with somebody, send an email, and we'll get things connected. It really is important. You know, the simple fact of the matter is, you know, it's user-based here. You know, so we do the best we can to purchase what's needed, but the Stambaugh Auditorium is not really a corporation. You know, it doesn't run the same way. So we rely heavily on donations to make that work, and a lot of work going into that on the facility itself, which I could talk about way more than I need to at this point. But the fact of the matter is, if you're so inclined, donating, especially at this point, we have a big need to get our percussion equipment in order. That would be fabulous.
And just again about the fee, there's no set due date when it works best for you. I mean, obviously by the end of the fall season here, so early November, but for bookkeeping purposes on our end and keeping track of things, if it's done the earlier part of the fall, it's better for us. It's just one less thing that we're having to continually track. But if you need some time, we're fine with that.
Any other questions? So again, to recap, the clarinet music for his honor will be posted and emailed out tomorrow morning, as well as the new students who auditioned this evening. You'll be added to the part assignments as well. So be on the lookout for that tomorrow morning or so. Okay.
And again, I want to get back to that responsibility word. Be here on time. Be prepared. Bring all your stuff. And you're responsible for your stuff, and listen to what people have to say. Obviously, you won't be able to prepare the music for tomorrow. That's what we're going to do. We're going to help you with that. So we're very excited. It's really going to be outstanding. And based on what we've heard so far in the last couple of weeks of the preparation and the performance level of the student auditions, we have a bright fall semester ahead of us here, so we're very excited about it. Thank you.
And I have received a message that some people had a hard time hearing. We will be posting, and I'll put this in here, but if you need to see the meeting again, it reminded me, we will be posting this to YouTube tomorrow. So if you need to run through the meeting again, and I'll put that in the chat as well.
Sam, if there's a gap between when you play, I think for you, though, you should be on the march and the woodwind ensembles first. So as far as your personal schedule goes, everything you do, Sam, should be up front at the beginning of rehearsal. And kind of like we mentioned with the percussionists earlier, there are some percussionists that are on his honor, and they have a little gap of time. They'll be allowed to stay here socially distant in the hall. You can work on some homework, things like that till your next time. We're also going to be adding some percussionists to even, I think, 1 or 2 of our woodwind pieces. We'll be talking about that tomorrow night, so we're going to be adding more of those people in as we get through. And we're also going to be adding some percussionists into some of the smaller brass ensembles as we get up and running. So that'll be nice for those students too. So in addition to our ensembles that those percussionists will be doing.
There's a question here about the schedule being the same each week. Generally, yes, but the 2 guys sitting to my left don't know this yet. We do have one hiccup in a couple weeks on October. Let me grab the date for you. On October 6th, we will need to make some slight adjustments early on because there's a recording session here in the concert hall that will not be ending until just before 6 o'clock. So we're going to need a few minutes to accommodate that, but it shouldn't be a major change for anybody. I just hadn't had a chance to talk to these 2 gentlemen about that yet.
That'll be easy.
But we're going to try our best. As you all know, in the world we're in now, who knows what may happen and we might have to adjust for. But we're going to do our best to keep the schedule as close to how it is if we can.
Number one thing, and I'm sure your band directors have been telling you, and school administrators and sports coaches, flexibility, fluidity through all of this as we go through this. We're 1 week at a time. We're just happy to be up and running right now. And I think we have a great plan in place, great students. It's great to see everyone again, especially our seniors. We want you to have a great senior year in this ensemble. A lot of you guys have been with us 3-4 years, and we're going to make sure that it's a really nice senior year for you. So thanks for sticking with us. Anything else?
Yeah, the speed of the questions in the chat has slowed down, so I'm assuming that means we're in good shape. We will leave a couple slides on the Zoom for a couple minutes after we're done here, if you need to take down some of that information. And then again, we'll be sending out an email again tomorrow with the updated information. Anything else?
Thank you all for attending.
Yep. We appreciate your involvement. It's really exciting for us to have youth band happening this year. 6 months ago, and over the summer, we weren't real sure if we were going to be able to do this, and so it's really exciting to have this, and we're really grateful that you're involved.
See you all tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow night.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.